Welcome back to Part 3. I covered a little brown 538.5 Rembrandt over the middle area of the horse while you were gone. Now I have a 259 dark gray in my hand, and I'm going over the darker areas of the horse with that, just like we did on the face. It helps to blend the colors together, especially in this area where the dark merges with the light. And here I have our 538.5 Rembrandt, the Mars Violet, and I'm putting some brown color over the front part of that horse's chest. And this is the 305 Spruce Blue that I'm using to darken that area in front. So I keep layering colors until I get exactly what I'm looking for. Here I'm using the black 229. This is a 305 Spruce Blue. I'm just picking the colors according to what I think it needs, if it needs a little more bluish cast. And then using 235 light blue to brighten up the highlights on the chest. I'm using the 235 light blue to add in a few highlights on the back. You always want to keep in mind the contour of the horse. So the lines aren't straight, they're going to emphasize the rounded areas of the horse. This is the Harbor Blue, the 405. We'll switch to that. It's got a more medium value to add the light areas on the horse. I'm using a 249 light gray to lighten up this area on the back of the horse. Short strokes. Taking my time, putting in just a few to lighten up that area. And switched back to the Blue Haze 405. using the edge, but it's really kind of dulled down, so I'm not making light strokes. I'm just kind of putting color in. And I'm also going around the body of the horse. That creates roundness, so when our viewer looks at it, they're going to know that the horse's midsection is round. This is 259 gray. Didn't put a lot of that in there. And then back to our 249 light gray. Adding a few streaks of color. And then the blue haze. Here I'm switching to 305 spruce blue to darken this area. And back to the 405 blue haze. Really love that color. Looks pretty good. And some more 249 for highlights. Now in my hand I have my 538.5 Mars Violet, adding a little brown to that area. And this is the 353 Cordovan, which is the NuPastel equivalent to the 538.5 Mars Violet. It's a smaller area I can get into. And then the 405 Blue Haze. I'm working down the leg with the 353 Cordovan, starting with this front leg. And then I'm going over that with 259 dark gray. And then on top of that, I'm using my 229 NuPastel black, my blackest black. These are small areas, which is why I'm using smaller pastels to work in these areas and define the muscles. I want to get this dark in here, so 229 black is the thing to use. Now this is 213 Sanguine. I want to use a complementary color to the blue as the reflected light on this horse. So the complement of blue is orange. So I picked this 213 Sanguine color. And then on top of that, I'm going to use 333 Titian Brown to pump the light up just a little bit because it's a lighter, brighter, almost a true orangey color. But that adds a highlight to that area. And these colors will reflect the warm light throughout the rest of the horse's body. This is going to really be kind of different, kind of a color lesson, and another way you can add variety to black animals. So here I'm adding the 213 to the underside of the horse, short strokes, and then adding the Titian Brown over that. And if I need a further light, I use the 249 gray. And I'm using a little bit of 233 raw sienna occasionally, but not a whole lot of that. I know this might look a little scary to you right now, but it's going to work out just perfectly. Now I've picked up my 249 light gray, and I'm adding highlights, sheen to the coat of our horse. Here I'm applying some black Rembrandt 700.5, kind of going over some of these areas and blending it so you still know it's a black horse. A little more Titian brown. I've zoomed in to the back side of the horse where I'm applying 538.5 Mars Violet over the blue. If that's too big, then use 353 NuPastel Cordovan to get into the smaller areas. And carefully drawing the back edge of the horse's back leg with the 353 Cordovan. And coloring in that area as well with the color, making it as even as I can. And over the brown, we put 259 dark gray, which evens out the color layer. Here I'm adding some 305 spruce blue over the back. I really take my time with this. I'm very careful. And this is the 259 gray. And the 353 Cordovan. And here I have the 211 white Just adding a few accents, brighter accents of white on the horse. I'm putting a coat of 259 dark gray over the back leg. We had started adding some earlier. I'm adding some more, evening out the layers of color. Adding a little more 305 spruce blue as well. This is 405 Blue Haze, adding highlights on the very back edge of the horse. He's really looking good. I'm putting a little bit, this is like I explained before, this is a medium value color, so it works really well for medium highlight, and then you can go over that with, this is 249, and brighten it up a little bit. And there's some muscles that need to be defined back here, so we're going to use that 249 to do that. Making that line a little bit brighter by pushing just a little bit harder. This is still the 249. I have my 700.5 Rembrandt black, so I'm putting the darkest black right here in the center of that back leg. I'm darkening and evening that out with my 229 black. Working around the knee of the horse. And here I'm using the 213 Sanguine to place that same warm reflection on the inside of the back leg. and some 333 Titian brown to highlight over that. Now we're going to work on all 4 legs of the horse, finishing them the same way. Adding 538.5 Mars Violet or 353 Cordovan, followed by 559 Dark Gray to even out the layer, and using 229 Black over that for the darkest areas of the legs. Here I'm using 211 white to put in the bright highlight where the sun strikes the edge of the bottom of the leg of the horse. And also I'm using my white to put in some splash that the hoof kicks up as it hits the damp sand. I'm doing this also on this other leg that is also on the beach. The other two are in the air. So this one is more of the splash of the water. So I'm just doing little teeny circles that we can color over when we do the beach. I'm putting in other details on the beach areas where the foam is going to be, and it will show up when we color over it. I've sped up this section a little bit. I'm using the blunt white NuPastel to add the foamy areas on the beach, and I'll use the sharp tip of another white 211 pastel to add little dots of foam. And we can color over it, and it will still be there, and we can punch those up when we get to the final stages of our painting. I'm finishing up the front raised leg of our horse. This is 259 dark gray. I'm going over the previously applied layer of 538 5 Mars Violet and the underlying Prussian blue. And here I have my 229 black where I'm adding the dark colors. This is a relatively small area being the leg, so I'll use mainly NuPastels to finish that up. I've made the decision that it needs a little more brown, so I'm using 353 Cordovan, which is the same as our Rembrandt 538.5 Mars Violet, to add a little brown color to the coat, and then going back over it with the gray and the black. Here I'm using the 213 NuPastel Sanguine to add a tad of red right as that bends, leg bends, and a little bit of 333 Titian Brown over that to bring up the highlight, because that's on the underside of the leg, and it's the underside surfaces that are reflecting that light that we've been using on the stomach and other areas of the horse. So now I'm continuing on with a 229 black. And the 213 right on this edge. I'm using a little 405 Blue Haze to add a little highlight back there, and I'm going to use my black NuPastel to kind of reshape that. It got a little wider than I wanted, so I'm drawing in the hoof area now and going to finish up that leg. Using a little 235 light blue to brighten up the highlight on the hoof after putting the 405 Blue Haze underneath it. Taking the point of my 211 white pastel and brightening the area on the knee a little bit. I'm going to start the second leg now using the same colors that we have used before. I'll be using NuPastels. This is 353 Cordovan come down the leg. 213 sanguine to mark where I'm going to put that secondary highlight. And I'm going to even that up with my 229 NuPastel. So we're using the same colors on the legs that we used on the body of the horse. I'm going over the leg with 259 dark gray. And then I'm adding the 229 black over that. Here I'm adding highlights on that leg with my 249, the edge, NuPastel, to make short little marks. Just taking my time. Don't be in a hurry. If you get tired, go do something else and come back. And now I'm adding more black to the leg. Now on the knee area, I didn't put any black there, and I'm using the 249 and my 211 white to add the highlights there, and also down towards the bottom of the leg just before the hoof. colored all the way down the bottom of the hoof. Colored around some of the little white spots that we put in, but we can add them back. I hope you've enjoyed part 3. Join me for part 4, where we finish up this beautiful horse on the beach.